Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am super excited about today's video. I'm going to be talking all about the equine therapy at my residential treatment center. For those of you who don't know, equine therapy is horse therapy. So while at this treatment center, you were super involved with horses. They're a huge part of your life, and I honestly think it was the best part of the treatment center. You will see I'm wearing a necklace. This necklace is given to everybody who graduates the program, so I guard it with my life. I love it. So yeah, that was like one of my biggest goals at the treatment center, was to get this necklace. I love it. So I didn't quite know how to make this video. There's just so much to talk about with equine therapy at this treatment center. I'm going to talk about the general aspect of equine therapy and how the horses were involved in our life while there. And then I can make so many more videos just about my specific horse. So at my program, every girl was assigned her own horse, which is astounding. Some programs that have equine assisted therapy, they have like a limited number of horses for many girls. At this one, there were probably 50 horses in the program. It was amazing. I think it really let you like dig deeper into the equine therapy and build a relationship with your individual horse. Most horses at the program were assigned a girl. There were some who maybe, their owner just graduated and they're waiting for a new girl to come in. But if that's the case, then other girls will volunteer to go groom that horse. Every house, there were 4 houses, every house had their own corral, and so the girl's horse was always living at the house that she was living at, and so if the girl moved houses, the horse would move as well. We also bred some, well, we didn't do it, but some horses were bred at our program and we would get to experience the pregnancy. I never actually saw a birth because they usually happen overnight, but I did get to see the little foal in the morning, and we got to take care of the little foals, the baby horses, and that was super awesome. Some girls in the program came in with having already experienced horses. They had already worked with horses in their life, but I'd say more often than not, girls had never experienced anything with horses, usually about my experience level. I had gone horseback riding at a few touristy locations, but never anything serious. So I'm going to talk about 3 main parts of our equine lifestyle. That is going to be daily grooming and feeding, equine assisted therapy, and Parelli natural horsemanship. And I will leave timestamps down below if you want to skip around, if you are just interested in hearing about one of these topics. First off, I want to say it smelled like horse there. I held my breath whenever I was outside for the first month I was there because I thought it smelled so gross. And after a while you get used to it, you don't even smell it. And now if I'm ever around horses, if I ever pass a farm, I don't know, that smell just brings me happiness. So let's get to the most important part. My horse, Dakota. I have approximately 500 pictures of him. And he was my best friend. I still consider him my best friend. I love Dakota more than most everything in this world. I feel like I need a little bit more room for photos. So Dakota is a quarter horse, and I can always tell it's him because he has that zigzag line. Some people call it like an exploding volcano. I always call it his Harry Potter scar. When I was first there, I couldn't pick him out of a crowd because a lot of the horses were quarter horses and they all look very similar, in color and stature. By the end of the program, I could see him from half a mile away. I knew which one was him. I always said he's the one with a gleaming beam above him. So as I said in one of my previous videos, every girl was assigned a mentor when they got there, and Dakota was actually my mentor's horse, so we kind of shared him for her last month. However, I didn't really get to see him too much until a couple months into the program. So I got to my treatment program in the middle of January, so it was just snow, and the weather wasn't super great. And before you got to go into the corral, you had to take an equine class, and every girl in the program had to take this. It was kind of like a teach yourself curriculum, and you learned about horses, about their lifestyle, just all about their health, how to take care of them, what they do. And then you also tied a halter. I will add a picture of Dakota in his halter here. Every girl tied her own halter. I think it took me 3 tries. It is difficult, but thankfully it is, once it's tied, it stays like that. Then after you finish that equine education class, you take a practical test in the corral, which if I remember correctly, you go and you approach the horse and you pick up all 4 of their legs. Not at the same time, obviously. I don't remember if there was anything else, but I think mostly it was just making sure you could pick up their legs. So since the weather was bad, that took a little bit. So I think I finally got corral certified like 3 weeks in. So first, let's talk about daily grooming and feeding. So the horses got fed twice a day, and that was at every house. So sometimes everyone in the house would go out, but more often than not, it was just a few people. At the young adult house, we always had 2 girls go out and a staff member. So we'd fill the water trough with water from the hose, and then we would bring the hay out. Now, the bales of hay, I'm gonna try to put up a picture to show what our bales looked like. And they had 2 strings wrapped around them. And at first, it would be 2 girls to 1 bale, where we'd each be grabbing a side and we'd be like leaned over, and it was so heavy. And the horses would come up and like try to take bites. We did throw like decoy flakes of hay, but not every horse went over to the decoy hay. And it was just super, super awkward. And then you gotta lift it up, and it was probably 50 pounds. Maybe, I don't know. And then you have to lift it up and put it into the feeder. I'll see if I have a picture of what our feeders looked like. And it was a workout. But by like halfway through my program, I could grab 1 bale in each hand, and I was like such a badass walking through the corral with 2 bales of hay. I was in great shape with that. The best thing, not the best, the worst thing, was the muck. So our corrals were all dirt, and then when it snowed or rained, it would just turn into muck. And we did have muck boots. I'm gonna add a few pictures here. I think I have some of the muck. It was so gross. Somehow I made it throughout my entire time there without ever falling, but quite a few people did fall. It's a calf workout, it's a thigh workout, it's a core exercise. Every muscle gets exercised while walking through muck. So grooming, we tried to groom every day, but if the weather was bad, sometimes we wouldn't go out. Now, one thing about grooming is if your horse is wet, you don't brush them. Because horses, when it's the colder months, they grow a winter coat. And it might look like they're covered in snow or covered in rain, but all of that rain is sitting on top, like, if this is their winter coat, the hair is sticking up, all of the rain and mud is like sitting on top of it, so they can't feel it. They're still super warm. But if you brush it in, then it gets onto their skin and they get really cold. So if it's ever wet or muddy, you just don't touch them. Mostly you're just picking dirt out of their hooves. But in the nicer weathers, you're brushing them, you're brushing out their mane. The spring is really fun because you get to like help shed off their winter coat, and just so much hair comes off, and it's just really fun to do. Oh, my foot fell asleep. We all got our own grooming bags. We got like a little canvas tote bag, and in there was a hoof pick. What else? I have it written down. A comb to do like their forelock and their mane, a rubber curry brush, a soft body brush, a shedding blade, and it had to be approved by your therapist to have these items because they were quite sharp. And then you also had your halter. You had your lead rope, which attached to your halter. You also got a carrot stick. Sometimes like on the weekends, we'd do our chores super, super quickly so we could have more time with our horses. It was easily the best part. Grooming our horses was just so much fun. Spending time with them. I don't know one girl there who didn't absolutely love her horse. Next, let's talk about equine assisted therapy. So equine therapy was sometimes with your own horse, but sometimes it was with other horses where like we'd all go out in a group and we'd just work with one horse. Some of the activities that we did were like an obstacle course, getting horses to walk through tight areas, or walking on top of a tarp, which can definitely scare them. We tried lassoing. We didn't do that on real horses. We had like things that I don't know. We practiced getting on a horse without assistance, without them having like a saddle or a bridle or a step, just grabbing onto their mane and hopping yourself up onto the horse. We did that. Equine assisted therapy helps with so many struggles. Like it can help with almost anything out there. I really believe that. And it's amazing how one activity can have so many different effects on everybody. For example, it's great for people with PTSD. I actually read the book by J.C. Dugard, the girl who was kept captive in the backyard for 18 years. I think it was 18 years. And she did equine assisted therapy for her PTSD, and it helped her immensely. But for me, it helped me with my behavioral and anger issues. It really helps with like safe zones, setting appropriate boundaries. It really helps with confidence, trusting yourself, trusting others, and accomplishing tasks. Like the lassoing, I tried for probably 45 minutes before I actually got the lasso, and they wouldn't let me give up. I just kept going. I finally got it, and it was amazing. My therapist was also trained in equine assisted therapy, so sometimes we'd go out and we would have therapy sessions with Dakota. I know that probably sounds really weird, but they were my favorite. They really, really helped. Horses really reflect your mood and your attitude, and I learned so many lessons. The biggest lesson I believe I learned from equine assisted therapy was treat others how you want to be treated. I know that's the golden rule. You learn it in preschool. Yeah, I had to go through quite a bit of work to learn that lesson. That's a big thing for borderline personality disorder. I'll link that video right here so you guys can go watch that. But people with borderline personality disorder, a lot of times they treat people really poorly. They have really unhealthy relationships. And then the people they treat poorly leave, and then they get upset that those people left. If you treat a horse poorly, the horse is going to leave. They're not going to come back. So that's one of the biggest things I learned. It goes way more into depth than that, but that's just what I'm going to give you today. Around September, so about 9 months into my program, I'd say that's when I really started my nonverbal horses are always nonverbal, but my nonverbal communication with Dakota, where we could just stand there and stare into each other's eyes, I swear we were having a conversation. It's this really meditative, out of body, out of this world experience. I don't know how to put it into words, but I swear he was talking back to me. We were having a conversation. It was astounding. I love that horse. So we never actually rode our horses. Our horses at the treatment center were purely for groundwork, except for the occasional where we practice getting up on a horse. Once a week there was this guy's house. I believe he was a friend of the owner, and he had horses, and we'd go over there once a week and we would take turns riding the horses. If you had extra points, I believe you could buy a trip to go another time during the week. And then once a month we'd go into the mountains and we'd do trail riding. So we definitely got a good share of horseback riding while we were there. Lastly, let's talk about Parelli. Now I can't talk too much about this topic because I'm not certified and I haven't practiced it in 5 years. You can find much better information if you search on YouTube or Google Pat Parelli. I'll put his name right here. Pat Parelli is a horseman who created a program, an entire curriculum based on natural horsemanship. You have to be certified to teach it. And I actually have my binder from my treatment center right here. My Parelli curriculum belongs to Jessica Rubin, and I found this while cleaning out my apartment because we're moving. And it just has, I don't even know how to show this to you guys. It has an entire curriculum in here. And so this is kind of what we used while we were there. And we actually got to meet Pat Parelli while I was there. He did an expo here in Salt Lake City. So we drove to Salt Lake City. It was just the young adult house. And we got to meet him. I'll put a photo of him right here. And also, kind of a side note, but not, these are my fat babies. I have kept these. These are actually the boots that I wore at my treatment program. I still have them. I think they're pretty cute. But I wore them to the expo and I had Pat Parelli sign them. I don't know if you can see that, but so that's super awesome. How do I kind of give you the gist of it? There are 7 games that you play with your horse, and each game kind of gets you into a deeper relationship with your horse. It teaches you how to lead your horse in a respectful way. There are a few quotes from the binder I want to share with you. So 2 of these are from the very first page. So this one, it's a little long, but it kind of talks about how you need to become a respectful leader, a respectful alpha, without using force, aggression, and intimidation. Horses are natural followers. They look for natural leaders. And a horse, when they have a natural leader, become less fearful and they become calmer and more confident. And then this quote, you need a connection, understanding, and acceptance from your horse. So you want to gain that from your horse and get that approval. This quote I really like. Most people are focused on training horses, and while horses are trainable, I'd like you to think in terms of starting a relationship and developing a partnership that is based on love, language, and leadership. So horses aren't really like let's say a dog, where you can teach a dog to sit, and once they know that verbal command, basically anyone in the world can say sit and that dog will do it, which is amazing in itself, but horses are different. Horses have a new relationship with everyone they meet. So it works in this kind of program where they're constantly getting a new owner. Now, if horses were trainable, like let's say a dog, and Dakota's previous owner had already taught him all of these things, it wouldn't be any good for me. I wouldn't have any work to do. But it's nice. It's a fresh, clean slate. No matter how many owners the horse has had, it's a new start for you with them. It's all about body language and your emotions and how you treat them. How you treat them is going to determine how they react back to you. Practicing and learning Parelli taught me, and I think everybody, but I guess I can only speak for myself, it taught me so much confidence. It taught me healthy relationships. I love Dakota so much. I can't even. I miss him so much. He's like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. I have photos of him everywhere. And I hope to make so many more videos on Dakota because there is so much to talk about with him. So that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, leave any comments, questions, or video ideas down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!